Warning. The following podcast contains nicotine, fat clouds, coarse language, and other adult shit. It is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised.
CBD dude.
Yeah, how's it going? Good to see you, man. Good to meet you in real life. Holy shit, Frenchie Cannoli.
You're making a big deal of me. It's like no, but I'm not joking. It's like you put me on a pedestal. Sometimes it's a little bit uncomfortable. You know?
Oh, that's all. It's all good,
My
man.
best friends are making joke of me every time I talk to them. It's like they're really proud of me, but at the same time, it's like the way you look at me, like I'm just an old dude that has a lot of experience making hash.
Right. Well, that puts you on that level, though. You're on a level above everyone else.
No, what is a big deal is like because I share, it makes me different than anybody. But if you think of it, sharing knowledge and give it to the next generation, it's called evolution. We would still be living in cave if we didn't share knowledge. So it's like the passion of my life to be able to give it to the next generation, it's a privilege.
Definitely. That's how everyone should start looking at life.
Yeah, I mean, it's how you should look at it, especially when you consider what you do a craft. Well, you want the next generation to love your craft and to be better at it than you are.
Totally. Well, listen, we're going to have you up in the podcast road later today, and we'll talk in a nice, quiet environment. Right now, while we're here, while we've got you with these machines, maybe you can tell us a little bit about this.
This machine, I based my whole water tech on dry sieving. Okay, water is in a evolution of the game of sieving trichome gland from a cannabis plant. So when you use water, already you rehydrate a material that is brittle. When you do dry sieving, every time you agitate a little harder, you create contaminant. That means that every time you create a different grade. And the quality is mainly defined by the cleanliness of the resin, okay?
Yeah, you told us about that on the air, but now we can actually see the...
So now when you rehydrate the plant material, it's not gonna be brittle. So you can agitate it with power. And I use the vortex of the water because it is super powerful, but it's super gentle at the same time. It's like laying down in a river. You feel the power of the river, but it's a gentle massage. That's what happened in that machine. And I can fine-tune it from 100 RPM to 1700 or 1800 RPM. And even in that machine, the first time we made it with the Delta, I run a batch at 1700 RPM for 45 minutes. And the plant material came back like intact.
Wow, nice. So you helped design this machine?
All my knowledge is inside that machine. And then Ben came to two of my workshops and he made it better than I could have ever dreamed because I am not an engineer. I know my tech. I know every detail that I need to take care to maximize the tech. But to be able to maximize it in a concrete form like that, I needed an engineer.
No, that's great. You take the guy who has the knowledge, go to someone who's the engineer with the tech, and then they can make it exactly to spec. So that's what we have here. It's like a Frenchie Cannoli. Your brain turned into a machine.
It's all my knowledge is really truly into that. That's why when Ben, at the beginning, I wanted the machine only for me. Because I needed my tool. I never thought about production. Then Ben asked me if they could produce it. I couldn't say no because if I give the knowledge, but I keep for myself the machine where it's all in, it's like, I don't really mean it, you know what I mean? It's and I want competition. I want more good hash on the market.
Right. If you're going to make the best, let the world also start making.
The more good ash on the market, the better it is for a ash maker.
Yeah, totally.
If I'm the only one having a product, how big is my circle to put that product on the market? If I teach other people to do the same things, and they go and do it somewhere else, you're still the source. But then there is a lot more people that know about your product and want it and talk about it. And you're much better propagating like that whatever you're good at. So there is more people knowing the product and wanting it. Huh?
It's like a great master artist who has like a studio, a workshop of people underneath them producing work, and it all gets attached to them in a way because you're the one who taught them how to do it. So it is like sort of a Frenchy cannoli byproduct. All this other hash that's coming out, it's
literally, I want people to be better than me, and you can. I have a lot of years of experience, but it was one time a year, 3-4 months. Here they have the ability to have harvest every other day, and you have a huge diversity of plants. That means a huge diversity of resin. As long as experience the building that you can have here, there is no other place in the world. It's rich beyond dream for a hash maker. When I was young, I had 6 flavors. Morocco, Lebanon, Middle East, Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Nepal. That's it. Here, every time you give me a new strain, it's like stepping in a new producing country. It's beyond the dream.
That's awesome, man. So let's talk about this machine because I'm looking at it, and for people who are just listening, all right, he opened this machine.
So plant material float free in the water, so that there is no it maximizes the agitation process. I want every part of the material to be brushed by the water. When I work with dense bud, I'm going to need a longer time to rehydrate, and I'm going to need more power to be able to break them open slowly, and get everything out of it. That machine leaves 2% cannabinoid in a load of 4 kilos of material.
So 4 kilos is what you put into this thing?
Here I can put between 3 and 4 kilos, depending if it's bud or sugar trim. Sugar trim I can put a little bit more because there is no need of opening it. Straight up the water is going to brush every part of the material.
So let me explain what this looks like. It's sort of like a all beautiful brushed aluminum, sort of like a washing machine with no sides, like what you would see the interior of a washing machine if the square parts were stripped away. It's like a...
The vortex is double because it's the wall in the back. When you put a little bit more power, you see how they start to... I'm not sure you put more power.
See this, Brian? So basically, there's a lid on top that's a kind of a lucite lid and a metal pull handle, and he pulled the handle up and lifted the lid off, and you can see right in. It's a vortex of water.
Like this, I have a machine that is totally waterproof, but I still have access to what's inside to be able to fill it with water. Here, actually, they put an entrance for the water. But to fill with ice, only when I want to clean it, I undo the main part, and I do that twice a day. I do 2 loads a day, sometimes only 1, depending how many washes I do.
How many gallons of liquid is in this?
This one is 30 gallons.
30 gallons, so it's a massive, it almost looks like a...
The machine that come on that will be produced is going to be 50.
50, wow. Awesome. So you have one of these at home now?
I have only a prototype at home for 3 years.
Oh, that's great.
And they stopped to manufacture it because nobody wanted it 3 years ago. It was too expensive and everybody could do better. And now 3 years later, everybody were asking again. So and I need more than my 2 machines. So I was ready to beg on my knee for them to do a few. So that I need 4 machines for myself, really, really, really bad. So I was telling them, man, if I can sell the 6 other machines, would you do a series of 10? I know you can, and it's a minimum order they wanted. And in fact, now they're ready to get back into the water game. So the timing was like Unreal. My prototype, everything here is plexiglass because I wanted the transparency at the beginning, but you cannot lock, so you cannot put as much power without spilling water, or you have to put less water, which I don't want. So
So this is the improved version. Like they took what you learned from the last model and you upgraded it.
we did two prototypes, a 15-gallon and a 30-gallon. But the 30-gallon was still a prototype. When they did the series of 5, it was already, it was like that, except this wasn't as sexy.
It really looks beautiful. I mean, this is all like brushed
They
aluminum.
changed the motor, instead of having a belt, it's all axial. But in almost 3 years of use of my machine, and I'm hard on her. I never changed the belt yet.
You have this running around the clock for 3 years probably.
The plexiglass that I should have never asked for in the first place.
So what's the water temperature in here?
You want the water in mid-30.
Mid-30s.
You want the water ice cold for the only reason for that, it's resin is sticky. And sieving is a separation of the trichon gland. If the trichon gland are sticky, are warm, they're going to stick to the material, they're going to stick to the machine, and they're going to stick to your bag. So it's like the cold is only to be able to work in conditions that give you the ability to manipulate resin, basically. In producing country, if you want to keep in Morocco, well, you go in the winter. They don't do that in the summer. It doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People think that the source of the separation is the cold. No. A resin head is made like a fruit. There is an abscission under it that becomes smaller and smaller the riper the resin head is. So it's like a ripe resin head just fall by itself.
Cool.
Shake the tree, it just fall. I mean, you know, every time you touch a bud, you can see it fall. It's made to fall.
So maybe you can give me a 1-minute story of how this machine works and what do you use it for and what the steps are. Like just give me a rundown, really quick, of like the stages.
I start by putting a little bit of ice at the bottom. Then I put 3 to 4 kilo of trim or flour. I put a little bit of ice on top, and I have a grill that keep everything underwater for rehydration. I rehydrate between 15 and 20 minutes, and then I shake a tree, and I want to pick up the ripest fruit. If I want the ripest fruit on a tree, I just check just a tiny bit. So all my cycle are 5 minutes, and I start at 150 RPM. And I collect that. That's my ripest fruit. Then I fill up with water again, and I put another 50 RPM or 100 RPM, depending how small that dimension of ripeness I want to capture. I run it 5 minutes, and I do that 8, 10, 12 times, depending. But I can shake the tree in 4 times if I want. I do 4 cycle, 3 times stronger. It all depends what you want from the tree.
Right.
And
So
what you want to do with the different ripeness.
so how do you take it out? How do you get it out of here?
You empty the water through the bags. Because this is only one part of the process, is the agitation process. In sieving, you have agitation and separation through the perforation of your tool. So I have full mesh bag to capture the resin that come out of the water, and then I fill it up again. And I hardly use ice, just to be sure that the water is in that mid-30s, very, very low 40s. Quoi.
How come it doesn't say Frenchy Cannoli Collection or something like signature?
Because I'm not the one that made it, but
It's your brainchild.
you would put your logo when you buy it.
Oh, cool.
I don't need it. It's like I make cash.
Right.
I just share the machine I make the hash with.
Very cool, man. It's awesome that you're helping everyone out like that. You know, like you're really pushing everyone to the next level.
I mean, I want quality. All my life I've been dedicated to quality. I never thought that I could do quality in quantity. And I have a baby that can give me like a kilo of resin every 8 hours. It's like, wow.
And when you have 4 of them, you're pumping out 4 kilos every year.
And there is a world market coming. It's like I could, I'm in a region where I make the best hash I ever made in my life. The more I make, if I have a world export, the hash coming from the Emerald Triangle is precious. Huh?
Yeah. Where can I get your hash here in Vegas?
You can't.
No?
In Calier.
I was hoping to be able to try it while I was here.
All information in this podcast, live stream, video, audio presentation, or YouTube video, or its related social media pages or interactions
Are for informational purposes only.
CBD Source Center and the CBD Source Podcast does not offer medical advice. Its host, Cole Cheney, is not a medical professional.
His experiences with cannabidol and other cannabinoids
Are his own and may not affect you the same way. Everybody's endocannabinoid system is different. Statements made regarding CBD and THC products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The efficacy of these products and the testimonials made have not been confirmed by FDA-approved research. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All information presented here is not meant as a substitute for, or alternative to, information from healthcare practitioners. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product. The Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act requires this notice.
The passion of my life to be able to give it to the next generation, it's a privilege.